yet. We're gonna show you some demos and cool stuff. Who likes to see demos? Who likes to see demos? All right, all right. I know you're hungry. It will be lunchtime soon. They're just loading my slides here. I'm Paul, by the way. I work for Trend Micro. We have a booth in the back. If you want to see some the other demos, we'll show them later. Who's a developer here? Developer. DevOps, as infra, DevOps. All right. So who's certified? AWS certified. Nice. Okay, we're gonna be showing some stuff that's similar to AWS certification today. All right. So my slide, guys. All right, it's here now. All right. So I'm gonna be talking about three things. Just three things today for 15 minutes. Okay. First thing is financial services industry. Now, Aditya Birla Capital is our customer. If you can see our screen, you can see that they're talking about our product a while ago. And I'm going to talk about some of them. I'm going to talk about how you secure DevOps. How do you put security in your DevOps chain? And how do you automate security, the third one? Okay, so if you ask what are the customers that we have, right? One of our customer is a regulator. What they do is they inject so many billions of transactions every second in the stock market, and they will check if there's any anomalies, and then they're gonna hunt that guy and they're gonna sue them, something like that. Another customer that we have is a major bank in Singapore. What they're trying to do is they're actually exposing transaction data, obfuscated obviously, to the developers. So if you want to see, if you want to have to build an API that reads through transaction data, you can do that. And fintech companies, there's a lot of fintech companies here. I came from a fintech company before I joined Trend Micro. Some of you guys probably are from fintech company, from financial industry. You might, you're seeing a lot of this using our products. What are the common concerns? What do people from financial industry, what they keep them at night? Number one is protecting customer data. You already know this. Miles already thought about this. Number two, securing your customer fleets. So you have so many servers in the cloud. And when you go do mobile apps, one of the main concern is API security. So you want to make sure that your API is secure, people won't get in, and you won't leak data. Another one is compliance and regulatory, right? So people ask, compliance. You need to abide on whatever you're using on premise, all right? And the last one is automated security testing. How do you automatically test your infrastructure for security issues? All right, so let's go to DevOps. Let's go straight to DevOps. Some of you guys are DevOps people, so let's look at this. When the traditional way where you're doing waterfall, what you will see is the developer has their own security concern, operations have their own security concern. I was a developer before, I was an ops guy before, so I know what are the things that I look for. So if I'm a developer, I need to make sure my code is clean. I need to make sure that it's analyzed. From operations perspective, my job is to make sure the network doesn't get hacked, the network doesn't get penetrated, my servers are protected. But what happens if you go to cloud? Miles said you need to move fast and secure. You need to be very fast. You need to deploy fast and secure. And security is job zero. But what is job number one for developers? We need to ship code. We need to release our features. And when you look at DevOps, this is the typical DevOps chain people are using now. So you got this entire loop right here. And what happens to those security controls that we were talking about a while ago? It's going to be here. Some of them are going to be under testing under the development team, and then some of them are going to be under operations. But how do you add more controls? Because you see, there's only two parts. How do you add more controls in the entire pipeline? So when you look at developers, right, on the DevOps side, the left side, they're going to ask, are we using the right tools in our pipeline? Are we using the tools that we need? Is it being tested in the pipeline? How do you integrate in the CI/CD? You're using Jenkins, you're using Ansible. And how do we know the integrity of the sources? How do we make sure that whatever software or code we get or images that we get has the proper sources? And last one, how do you keep traditional security controls? So if you have all controls on-premise, how do you put it on the cloud? Right, so I'm going to have a scenario. I'm going to do something like AWS, exams. When you take an AWS certification, they have a scenario like this. They typically ask you a scenario like this, and they will try to solve it. So First one is, your team has decided to check the integrity of the images in your pipeline and tasked to check if your containers have any malware or vulnerabilities. Now, this is about Docker. Who uses Docker here? Docker users? All right. So, just explain for the people who's not using Docker. Basically, the way Docker works is a developer, I write a Docker file, and then I commit it as an image to my registry, and those images are deployed to my host, which in turn run my applications. Now, a Docker image is not just one piece of text file. It's basically inheriting from different text files. For example, it starts from an OS, like Ubuntu. That's made by Ubuntu. And then you have Apache, who's going to do HTTP. And then your ops team is going to create a baseline. It's going to create an image called custom HTTP. And the developer will be allowed to add in on their own Docker file. So, and then you're going to deploy that. You're a developer, you're going to deploy that to your registry. How would you know if there are vulnerabilities? How would you know if there are vulnerabilities on the applications, on the Ubuntu side or the HTTP side? How would you know if there's any malware or if there's any mistake that happened? I'm going to show you some demo. Right. So here, there's a new product that we have. It will be released next month. It's called Deep Security Smart Check. So the way this works is you will have a console like this that scans all your Docker images. So we're going to wait for this to play. All right, never mind. Let's not go to the videos. I'll show you how it works. So basically, there will come a time where when you commit your code and submit it for testing, what your CI/CD will do is it will create an image. And that image can be submitted to the software that we have. And then when there's a problem, it will reject it and let your Slack know if there's any problem. It will let you know that, hey, there's a malware or there's a vulnerability in your system. And then when it's okay and you approve it, it can send it to the registry direct and can send it to production. So this is how you can make sure that when you deploy stuff for testing, you can have a test for it. Okay, let's see if the video works again for the next one. Now for next I'm going to talk about next scenarios, right? So we have operations. How fast can you react when incidents happen? And how can you make sense of the noise that you get? And the last thing is, how can you check if your configuration is still secure? Now, your security team implemented Amazon Guard Duty. How can we ensure that your instances are protected from those attacks? Now, please bear with me. I don't know if the video is going to work or not. Let's see. So the way Guard Duty works is like this. You got your logs, you got your CloudTrail, you got your Route 53. All those logs are being processed by Guard Duty for events. And then it will tell your DevOps team if there's any problems, or it's going to trigger a Lambda function so you can automatically do stuff. Let's see if the video is going to work. All right, so I don't think the video works. I'm just going to let you know that this is Guard Duty, and there are unprotected ports. So basically, one of my servers are being scanned for activities, and it shows me a report. So this is what Guard Duty looks like in real life. It shows me some of my EC2 instances being probed. Right? So I'm going to run, in this screen, it's going to run attack. I'm going to run an attack on the instance. I'm going to do an nmap. I'm going to probe it. And it's going to say that after 20 seconds, it did an attack. Right? What's going to happen next is Guard Duty is going to let me know that my instance is being probed. And it will tell me that this is the instance ID, and this is the port, and this is my instance. Now, it's not going to show you anymore. What's going to happen is after it detects the events, it's going to trigger a Lambda function. And it's going to tell our product, Deep Security, to scan for recommendation. And what does scan for recommendation mean? Meaning it will check your server for any vulnerability. So if you know that most of the attacks that's happening recently, it's caused by these vulnerabilities. So a vulnerability is open up, and then people will attack via that vulnerability. Now, what it will do is it will tell our product to protect the server. So Guard Duty will say, look, somebody's trying to attack the server, Deep Security protect it. And it will even tell the developer, it will even tell the DevOps that something happened from Guard Duty. Okay. Now, another one, you have 200 instances in AWS, and you get 0-day attack. What is a good process of protecting them? So, typical patch cycle of any customer is 176 days. So 0-day will be announced 5 days before. people patch it, and then they test the application, and then they deploy it to live. And then the demo doesn't work, but I'm just gonna run you through this. So basically what happens here is, this is my instance, and it has automatically applied IPS rules, so 480 rules. There are 480 vulnerabilities that can be used by a hacker to attack this machine. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a Metasploit. So if you know Metasploit, it's basically an attacker software that will run exploits that I want on the server. Now, because it's blocked, it does a communication error and error reading from a socket. So meaning it dropped the traffic. It did not let the traffic through because it's deemed malicious. Right? And then what happens? It will tell your Slack. It will actually report to your Slack that your server has been attacked, but it's been baseline for a patch. So it will check, it will tell your server, hey, it will tell AWS, hey, look for existing patches on the server and look at patches that needs to be applied. And give them a button as well. So there's even a button here that will allow the user to patch the server. So this is what's happening there. So the bad guy doesn't attack, it prevents and reports, and then it triggers via AWS SNS. It will run a call. It will call a run command. Run command, if you know, is using Amazon Systems Manager. It basically manages the patches of your server, and you can actually trigger. You can actually tell it to do the actual patching, and then it will tell the developer, here are 10 patches that you need to do, and then the developer will approve, and it will patch the server itself. Pretty cool. So yeah, for us, it's really not hard to shift security to the left. It's really not hard to automate incident response. The product I was showing you a while ago is available in the AWS Marketplace, and we are also an advanced technology partner. So if you want to know more, if you want to see the actual demo, we have a demo in our booth. Me and my colleagues will show you this. And with that, thank you very much, and you can go for your lunch now. Thanks.